Hey everyone. Well, I'm back. You're getting two editions of Lunch with Laura, the 12 o'clock and the 12:30. Maybe it's because I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning, but somehow when I clicked the go live button, it didn't go live and I didn't realize it until I was through. So I'm going to show you one more time and I'll make it quick what I showed a few minutes ago. All right, I made this little card and here's another one. And in the new catalog on page 8 and 9, it shows you the Country Lane Boutique. I keep saying Country Lane. I'm not saying it right. Country Floral Lane Suite Collection. And it comes with the stamp set, the punch, paper, ribbon, and all sorts of good stuff. When I did this last week, I used the same stamp set, but it is such a great stamp set that I wanted to show you again because I used the punch and the paper last week, and this time I'm going to be using these two stamps, which are two-step stamps, which means you stamp one and then you come back and put this one on top. And I'm going to show you how that's done in just 1 second. Let's talk about the materials that I used. I have a piece of crumb cake that is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. So I'm going to score that there. And I'm using a piece of our textured, that isn't it. Let me run go grab a piece of textured cardstock. And oh well, let's see, here it is. And I'm going to cut this down a little bit. It's just called textured 12 by 12. It comes in 3 colors. You've got your balmy blue, the white, and the spruce green, which is a great green. I love that one. Now, let's see. This one needs to be cut down just slightly, so let me do that. And let's see how. I love this little cutter, but I wish it was just a wee bit wider. Let's see. Okay. I think that's about it. And I'm going to cut it down to 4 3/4 by 5. Let's see how close I got. That's pretty close. And then my 2 little strips are right here that are going to go on the top and the bottom. So now we have our textured cardstock right here. And it's just like when we used to have a crimper, except the crimper did much wider, corrugated looking. And if you can see this, I'm going to hold it up really close, but I don't know if you can see it. But if you rub your finger over it, you can feel the little creases in there. So it's kind of like a crimper, but a real fine one that does little fine lines. And I am going to use our Stampin' Seal Plus, which has a stronger bond than just the regular Stampin' Seal. So that's what I use for the majority of my cards. But when I have something that has a rough surface, or if you have embossed something and it's rough, there isn't enough surface to hold it down tight. So that's when I either come out with my tear and tape, or I use the Seal Plus. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to put that right there on the front. And I cut it so that we have a 1/4 inch all the way around. Then, luckily through the powers that be, I have already cut out my little tag and the circle. And I used one of my stitch circle punches, dies for that. And then I used this set of dies called Tailor Made. And this makes little tabs to use on your cards, but each one of the dies has a little hole so that you can put some thread or baker's twine or linen thread through it to hold your tag in place. So let's talk a minute about the two-step stamping. Whenever you're doing two-step stamping, you want to get as close as you can to making it match. So sometimes you have to kind of look for little things. And I'm going to take this one off for a second. One of the stamps has hearts and flowers. And that's what this one has. Let me put it on my silicone mat so that maybe you can see it better. So there's some little flowers and some little hearts around. And that's going to be the second step, or at least that's the one that I use for the second step. The first step, the first stamp I'm going to use, has little leaves in it. And they're little like vines. You can see this one has the hearts and the flowers. The leaves I'm going to stamp in our mint macron color. And I always like to put my stamp on top of my photopolymer stamps because they're jiggly and they can wiggle out of place. So if you just set them down and then put your block on, it'll make them stamp correctly. And this is about a 3-inch square. Let's see. Right at 3 inches. I'm sorry, circle. I told y'all I've been up since 5 o'clock, so give me a break, okay? I don't usually get up until 7, which is still early for me. Okay, I am going to stamp the leaves right there. And it looks like it's not complete, but it is. Then I'm going to take this off. I'm using the same block. I'm going to put this back in so it doesn't get stuck on something. I'm going to turn this one over and put it on the block. And I'm using Sweet Sorbet. This color, when you hold it up to pink, it has more pink in it, but when you hold it next to real red, it's amazing how close they are in color. So we're going to be using this one. This is one of the end colors. And when I stamped it a while ago, at the 12 o'clock lunch with Laura, I had my head out of the way, so it didn't come out perfect. So this time you're going to see my head. But I am going to, position it so that the hearts go right in between. And you can kind of see the shape of the heart here. So that's kind of what I'm going by. And I think that is about, that's pretty close. So sorry you had to see the top of my head. Okay, now there is our little two-step circle that's going to go on the front of our card. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is get my ribbon out, and I cut about 10 inches of ribbon, and there is, let me show you again in the catalog. Now this is the brand new one that just came out. See this ribbon? You get 5 yards of the red and 5 of, it's crumb cake color, but they call it burlap. And I used it last week on the card, and it really came out great. And then we're going to put some little sequins on next. So, what I found, let me get one bigger. Okay. And I'm going to do about 10 inches. And what I found out worked better a few minutes ago was I'm going to go ahead and put my dimensionals on, but I'm not going to peel the back off of them. I'm going to kind of look through it so that I know I'm putting one at the top and one at the other side and 2 at the bottom. Now this will kind of hold your, now that still has the stuff on there, the back on it, so it's not going to stick to anything. But I'm going to put it so that my ribbon is between, and you know I have to turn it upside down or the legs stick out. And I didn't cut this quite long enough, so we're going to do a knot this time. Which, for those of you that never learned to tie your shoe in a proper bow, you can use this and it comes out just as pretty. Okay. Now I'm also going to stamp a little sentiment on our little tag. And I'm just going to use the same one we used a while ago. And I'm using the mint macron. And I want to make sure that I have it so that it's not upside down. Although we could turn the tag around, couldn't we? Okay, I love you. And somewhere around here I have a little piece of linen thread. There it is. And I'm just going to weave that through the hole and tie it onto the ribbon. And then you can tuck the little knot that you're going to make right now with the linen thread. You can cut it short and stick it right up under. Okay, let's trim that. Okay, and then I'm just going to slide it up so that it is hidden by the knot, which is coming undone. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm going to trim the little ends. And now if I can find my card base, we will be in business. And I'm going to go ahead and put some of the bling on. And put some here. And then of course we have to have it on the tag. So there. Okie doke. Now, the only problem is now I can't find my card base. Okay, here was, oh, there it is. It was hiding with the other two. And so there we have it. Now I can take the dimensionals, the little back off of the dimensionals, and stick it down right there. Oops. Okay, and need to put our little top and bottom on, which I should have done first. Now again, I'm using the Seal Plus And if you have trouble with these getting started, if they're not sticky when you touch, do it, start it on your silicone pad, and then it'll go right on, oops, right on your paper. So there's that piece of cardstock for the bottom, oops, and this for the top. And you can see they're just, well, that one did good. That one's just a little, I guess I cut it a little bit wonky. Okay, so now we have that done, and I'm going to put a couple more of the sequins up here. And oops, that one just flew away. Down here. And we have our card. On the inside, I stamped with Sweet Sorbet a little heart. And this stamp comes with the big heart and the little heart because it goes inside of the, let me show you the little cute little punch. See that punch right there? And you can cut both of those out at the same time. And then you can cut the leaves out at the same time. So, let's, now, I positioned it so that the little heart is hanging off. I don't want it to be inked and go on my paper. I just want to do the big heart. So I'm going to stamp that right here. And it does have a distressed look to it, so that's not because I didn't ink it up well, okay? And you can see it when you look at the stamp set. Now let me close that up. And we're going to use my, I call this my centering grid, so that I can get as close to the center as possible. I'm going to be looking at this line here, and then the two lines top and bottom. And I do find, oops, there's my head again. I do find that it helps me visualize. That one was a little bit wonky, but that's okay. And I'm also going to stamp my hallmark on the back. I have had a lot of people tell me that they save my cards, so I always like to have my name on the back. And another thing I like to do is when I send a card, I put the year up here. I don't put the whole date, just the year. But anyway, there is your card, and you can put that down with a glue dot or a dimensional, or just let it hang like I did. Now, let me tell you quickly, and then I'm going to let you go. When I was flipping through the catalog, you know, our catalog used to be called Ideal Book and Catalog, and now they just call it the Annual Catalog or the Mini Catalog. But all of the samples that you see have been made by the staff at Stampin' Up, and many of whom are demonstrators. And I cased this card, which means copy and share everything from the catalog. But what I did, I made my husband a cute little Valentine, and it has a goodie inside. So I copied these right here. And all I did was get a piece of the crumb cake, wrap it around, and let it lap over a little bit. And the same thing with any accents you're going to put on. And so it's all the same material that I used for the card. The only difference is it has this little ribbon for a pull tab. So when I take it out, I measured around my candy bar, leaving a little extra at the top, and then I tied a bow to hold it together. And you want it to be tight, but not so tight that it won't slide in and out. But isn't that adorable? And what a quick way to make a cute little holder for candy or some kind of treat that's special. You could use this for idea for Halloween. It'd be great. But anyway, that's how sometimes I find my ideas, by going online and checking out things that people have put online, or by looking in our catalog, because we have a ton of ideas in here, and oftentimes they'll tell you or point out something to you that has been used in there. Let me see if I can find okay, well, for instance, they showed you here that they used this ribbon for the card that they made. And you can also find cards for the beginner, the intermediate, and the avid stampers. So they can be as simple as you want or as ornate as you want. So I hope that the second edition of Stampin' with Lunch with Laura today turned out. So anyway, if you're seeing it twice, it did work, but I don't think it taped the first time. So I'm going to wrap things up. Have a great weekend. Come back and see me next week, hopefully at 12 o'clock. And I'll try to remember to make sure that the button is pressed for Go Live. And have a great weekend. I can't wait to see you again next week. Thanks for coming by. Love you. See you soon.